Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, viewers. This is Shafqat Hussain Shah with a very famous novel from class second year. Its name is The Prisoner of Zenda, and the writer's name is Anthony Hope. First of all, before telling you something about this novel, Prisoner of Zenda, let me explain what is called novel. Novel word is taken from Latin word novella. Novella means new, anything new, and it's the Latin name of Latin word novella. Novella, what is called novel, or fictitious prose narrative, typically representing character and action with some degree of realism. Fictitious means not real. And first of all, we elaborate here. This is the prose work, not the poetic work. Narrative means it is something asserted or something as stated, typically representing character and action with some degree of realism. Means although it's imaginative, although it's fictitious, but yet there is some reality. That means the characters are taken from the ordinary life or the daily life. This is the picture of the writer of this novel, Anthony Hope. Sir Anthony Hope Hawkins, full name of him, better known as Anthony Hope. 9th February 1863, he took birth, and 8th July 1933 he died. Was an English novelist and playwright. Playwright means dramatist. He was a prolific writer. Prolific means the creative writer, one who used to create the thing, especially of adventure novels. Adventure is something that is risky, where the risk is taken or risk is involved. But he is remembered mainly for two books. Means the two books of him are very renowned, are of great height in terms of popularity, or they are famous. The book Prisoner of Zenda, it published in 1894, and its sequel. Sequel means the follow-up. Means it is the series. The first book of this series is Prisoner of Zenda, and the second book is known as Rupert of Hansa, which published in 1898. The Prisoner of Zenda novel by Anthony Hope, published in 1894. This popular late Victorian romance relates the adventures, risky activity of Rudolph Rossendal, an English gentleman living in Ruritania, who impersonates, pretend to be another person, the king, in order to save him from a treasonous plot. Okay, let me elaborate these three or four lines. That this is adventure or risky sort of activity that is done by an Englishman, the one who's from noble family, from a higher or rich family, and his name was Rudolph Rossendal. He was basically he was from England, but occasionally he visited Rotania. Rotania, a fictitious or imaginary state created by the writer somewhere in the Europe. He states here that Rudolf Rasendal becomes, as he was the duplicate of the king of Rotania, so he takes his position and he saves the king's life, and not only the king's life but his throne or the monarchy as well. And he saves him from a treachery, a conspiracy which was made against him by his own wicked half brother named as the Michael, or the Duke Michael. Now, chapter 1, introduction. Although there are several characters in this novel, but we are limited here to only three of the characters, because these three characters have been introduced in the first chapter. Number one is Rudolph Rasendal. Rudolph Rasendal, you can call him as the hero of this novel. English gentleman, independent means educated on the continent, speaker of perfect German and excellent French, good horseman, competent swordsman. He was a good speaker of German and French language. He is a good horseman, means he could have ridden the horse very well, and a competent swordsman means he was skilled in fighting a combat. And Lord Burleston, who was Lord Burleston, Rudolph Presendal's elder brother, active in public affairs. He was an earl of his society, of his area, and he was the elder brother of the hero, means Rudolph Presendal. Lady Burleston. Lady Burleston is the Rudolph Presendal's sister-in-law, and she was the wife of Lord Burleston. Chapter 1 starts with the topic or the title of the Rascendals with the word on the Ilfberg. Let me tell you, viewers, something more about the Ilfberg. Ilfberg is the name of the royal family which ruled over the Ruritania, and the Rascendals they lived in England, from which we took the name of the Rudolf Rascendal and the Lord Burleston. They were known as the Rascendals. So, what was the connection of the Rascendals and the Ilfberg between each other? That was some years ago, means a long time ago, and prince from Rotania family, means Ilford family, he visited England, and there he had a love affair with the family, the woman or the wife of one earl, and she was from the Russendals family. And the result of that, a child took birth, a child which had the characteristics of the Ilford family, means he had red hair and long nose. And the prince returned, or he went back to his country, and then he becomes the king. Now that child, as he became the earl or the duke, or what we call him, the duke in terms of the Rotanian family. He became the head of his family, or head of that area, and later on, his descendants they also carried those characteristics, which were the sign or the symbol of the Rotanians, means the red hair on the long nose, and that appeared sometimes in their ancestry or in the tree. In case of Rudolf Rosendahl, when that tree or when their system of precedency that reached to the Rudolf Rosendahl, Rudolf Rosendahl had both of the characters, means he had red hairs and he had also long nose, and his shape or his physiognomy or the physique or especially the shape or the face, it resembled much all a great deal with Ilfbergs, means the Rotanian. Because of this, his father always prohibited him to go there, and he has a strong desire to visit the Rotania. Now the scene opens when the discussion was going on between the Rudolf Rassendyll and his own sister-in-law, means the Lady Baleston, the wife of Lord Baleston, and she was criticizing him because he had become of 29 years old. Still, he was not doing anything. He just kept on roaming here and there and just enjoying his life, and he resisted. He answered in a way that as he was from a very rich family, so he hadn't any option or he hadn't any need to do anything. But still she kept on convincing him that he should do something useful and something that can be counted in his life. Rudolf Pressender's sister-in-law Rose urged him to do something useful with his life. Lord Baleston, Rassendel's brother, tells Rassendel that he has found him a job as an attaché to Sir Jacob Burrell. Who was Sir Jacob Burrell? Sir Jacob Burrell was an English eminent figure who was supposed to hold an embassy somewhere in Europe, and she, means Lady Baleston, insists Rudolf Rassendels to go as an attaché, as a staff to with Sir Jacob Burrell in order to begin his career. As the job will only start in 6 months, Rassendyll decides to attend the coronation of King Rudolf V, which is to take place in Strelsa, Ruthania. Rudolf Rassendyll, initially he was not willing to do anything in his life, but later on she pursues him, means the sister-in-law for him. She pursues him, and he later on he was convinced, and he decides to go with Sir Jacob Burrell. But as Sir Jacob Burrell had 6 months left to go some anywhere, so these 6 months were enough for Rudolf Rassendyll to enjoy the life. So he decides to go, and he wanted to visit the Tyrol, the city of Germany, and the Dresden, the city of Austria. So in this hidden plot, in this his hidden visit of him, he had intentions to visit Ruthania, because once he saw in newspaper that the coronation of a new king, means the Rudolph, is going to take place. So he wanted to attend it, and he always never told his plan of visit to any of his family member. Same is the case here. So in this time also, he doesn't tell anyone, and he leaves his house to visit Ruthania, but through Saddle and Dresden. Rasandra's sister-in-law comment on is doing nothing. I wonder. No, these are the first line. This is the first line which opens the scene for us, in which she actually turns, or she is giving an angry remarks over the useless life of him. She says, "I wonder when the world you are going to do anything." She mentions his age, means कि still you are useless. You're not doing job. You're not doing any business, and you have become such an irresponsible person. You're 9 and 20, and you have done nothing and knockabout. What knockabout? Knockabout means to move purposelessly or without any purpose having in mind. Robert mentions two Ulfberg features in the Rosendal. These are the two features which are told or which are pointed out by his own brother. He had red hair, generally crops out once in a generation. One crops out means they appear. She does the long, so does the long nose. Rudolph has got them both, means he was lucky that he had characteristics of his forefathers, of his ancestors, means both of the characteristics he had. Rasandal says Rose, when I do a thing I don't do it by halves. This shows the nature of the Rasandal that he once he started a business, he never left it in the middle or in between. He always tried to complete it. So you viewers, you will see the nature or the psyche of him, that how he went on and how completed his task, what it was assigned to him by nature. Unlike his usual practice, he tells his relatives the itinerary. Itinerary means the plan that he is going to make. I was going for a ramble and the Tyrol. He told his family that he was going for a ramble and a Tyrol, and I intend to study the political and social problems of the interesting community which develops in that neighborhood. Initially, when he told about a visit to his sister-in-law, she got angry that once again he has decided to go and not to roam purposelessly or to just for going for nothing. But he tried to convince her by saying that he will study the political and social problems of the communities which are living in that area, means in the neighborhood, in the Tyrol especially. Rasendel's reply to writing a book on her insistence. And not only this, she also butters up by her by saying that he will write down the book after getting the experience from that place. Okay, now what happens? She tries her best in order to get a promise from her that he would write a book, but he doesn't make a promise. He says that if he got enough material for writing, then definitely he will write. Otherwise, not. Viewers, this is the end of today's lesson. We'll continue with our next chapter. This was all about first chapter, in which there was only discussion between the brother-in-law and sister-in-law about his work, about her task, about doing something useful in life. And last, he makes a promise that he would go with Sir Jacob Arundel as an attaché with his embassy to work. But not only this, but he also adds something here, that if he gets something here, that he would write a book about studying the social and political problems of the community where he was visiting before that attachment to the embassy. So this is all about first chapter.